Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living. And my guest today certainly has chosen that right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest is Dee Lippingwell. She is a photographer, but not just an ordinary photographer. She's a photographer to the rock and roll stars of our times. She's been doing this since 1975, so she has some of the greats that have visited Canada, visited Vancouver, and she has got books on the photography. She's got an attic full of photographs of these people where she's caught them in at their best, in their moment, truly living their passion, their dream, and her camera has caught it. And so she's lived an extraordinary life in kind of clicking the photographs of those that are making a difference in our lives. They've inspired us, they've liberated us, they've lifted us up, they've created memories for us. So she's captured those memories in her photography. And we're going to be talking about the books that she has written. And we're going to be talking about an awful lot of things of how she got into this and the joy and a little bit of rock and roll in her herself of capturing the artist. Anybody can take a photograph, but capturing someone's essence, you have to understand the essence in order to capture it. You know, you can click a lens, but it's that moment, isn't it? That moment that you just click at the right time and you capture something about them. Welcome to the show, Dee. Catching in the middle of catching a drink.
There we go. That was a moment. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
But since I've heard you on the the step up and step out talk, where a lot of things that you said kind of really stuck with me, I knew I wanted to have you on. I always celebrate people that truly have found their passion and committed to that passion, no matter what roller coaster you may have gone along the way. And you've had a few ups and downs along the way, but it's the commitment to the passion. But first and foremost, was that passion always there before the camera was in your hands? Or was it when you put the camera in your hands?
The passion started really early. I was like 5 when
Wow.
my grandfather put the camera in my hands, right, and showed me how to manipulate it and where to look. And I was amazed because everything was upside down. I'm giving away my age, right? And it just seemed like my whole life. It's like my mother could never take a picture without cutting somebody's head off. Um, she took forever. It would be like, Mom, right? So I took over the family pictures, and it was everywhere I went. I would go to a wedding, right? And people would hand me a camera, like an Instamatic camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it took a while for me to get into the 35 millimeter and to actually discover what my passion was, right? But I'd always had a camera in my hand, so
So
um,
would you see it was a form of your expression, an extension of
mm,
your point of view?
I think so. I think so. I always I'd never cut people's heads off,
You honored the
and
head.
yeah, and I seem to have a different perspective of, when people ask me to, do a family picture, I had a different idea. It's amazing how many of my ideas have been stolen over the years.
Well, that's meant to be a compliment, right? When somebody steals your style,
I
right?
think
But
so.
but yes,
I
it
think
would be nice
so.
if they kind of acknowledged as well.
Yeah.
My first camera was the Brownie. Do you remember that?
Oh, of course, I won my first brownie. Yeah,
You won it in a
I won
competition,
it.
or
Yeah, no, my grandfather, again, he was teaching me the camera, and I took a picture of newborn babies or something, right? And he was so proud. and he entered it in a contest, and I won a brownie camera, right? I mean, I was more I was more enthralled with the little handle on the top of the camera, right? Than I was with the actual camera. But
Right.
yeah, so I remember the brownie and I have a whole collection of cameras that, collapsible, pull them out.
Mm.
I don't know, it seemed like when people found out, I was interested in cameras, they started giving me old ones. I said, no, please don't give me any more of your old cameras.
Yeah, I have to say that the Olympus trip was my kind of camera that I traveled with and that I liked back in the day. But when you look at cameras today, really have expanded. And of course, everybody kind of clicks with their phone nowadays. But there's something about having a camera in your hands and being able to adjust the lens and,
Hmm.
the lighting, or capturing a moment. Everybody's busy clicking, but are they actually photographing?
Yeah, the digital age has um, wreaked havoc on
Mm,
even the concert photography,
yes.
right? I'm not actively shooting anymore, because of the fact that the stages are so large. You have to shoot from the soundboard. They have to give me a milk carton to box to stand on because to see over the crowd, right? uh the stages are so long and so big that no, and I'm not accredited with any magazine or newspaper anymore, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
my camera, my concert shooting is curtailed.
Hmm.
Right? I am going to Peter Gabriel in September, though.
Right. Yes, I remember it.
It's like, oh, um, but nowadays, the photographers who want to do the concert photography, and I applaud them because, they have their work cut out for them because there's people in the audience with these digital cameras,
Yes.
I swear, without a word of a lie, that are better than I would say 50% of the film cameras that you see today.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, being able to, even a digital camera, I see photos that have been manipulated. It's like
mhm.
it it irks me actually to see different effects put on photographs. I want to see the true picture. I don't want to see this
Touched up.
black
Yeah.
and white image of this scowl of,
Mm.
I'm more of I don't know what I would even call myself, a realist.
Yeah.
I
But
want
again,
you
but I mean, you're capturing, as I said, the essence of the person. You're capturing in the middle of a note or,
right,
in the middle of something. It's like I love interviewing musicians because they're so true to the heart and soul and their purpose in life, right? They are the instrument, they are the voice. Um, and it's the passion of who and what they are. Really it's just the challenge of getting the gigs, but there's no doubt in who they are. And to
right.
capture that by camera, that moment where you could see them completely immersed into whatever number they're playing. Is it patience? Is it just being there at the right moment, or are you set
It's
up for it?
it's patience. It's feeling it in here.
Hmm.
It's feeling
Yeah.
it, within here. Um, uh,
Would you say
People
you're
say,
attuned? You're attuned with the artist at that
oh
time?
yeah, and I
Yeah.
have, if I can't be, if I
Yeah.
don't like the music, I'm sorry, I can't get into it. I can take a photo, but it's not going to be
Right.
right. My pictures have been called melancholy
Hmm.
because I do capture that moment
Hmm.
where the is right in the depth of the note or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
As I
Um,
said, the essence of the
and
person, right?
that's it.
Yes.
That's it. It's like stopped in time.
Yeah.
He was at that moment, she was at that moment, and
Capturing it.
that's what I want to capture,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, yeah,
The thing is, a picture can say 1,000 words, and of course today they can manipulate a picture and they can manipulate words, they can manipulate anything. But what we're looking for as human beings is the truth, is the core of a being. We're looking for our own core, we're looking for our own meaningful purpose, and we want that in other people. And again, when you've got a musician out there playing and they're playing that note and they are so completely in tune with it, and you yourself feel that music, it guides the hand of when to click.
Oh,
right?
it does.
The
It does.
synergy. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one of my more famous pictures is of the Who, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, and I got them. I got Pete Townsend in the air with his legs tucked under him, playing the guitar. And people say, "Oh, you manipulated that." Well, I said, "How can you manipulate that? That's from 1978.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Didn't have that then.
manipulate. You
Uh-huh.
don't manipulate that, right?" But what happened was I saw Pete Townsend do this. I saw him take, I saw him take, go to the other side of the stage, and I just did a rewind in my brain. And
Hmm.
I just pictured him, what he was going to do. And I saw he was doing it again. He was going over to the other side. And I went, okay, this is it. He's going to take four, four jump, and then he's going to go into the air. And it was just like click.
Yeah, perfect.
And I knew that I had it.
Yes,
I
yes,
knew it. I get goosebumps even now because
right.
I knew that I had it, right?
Well, of
And
course,
the big,
back in that day, you didn't know until you got to the
oh,
dark room, right? There isn't
oh
any
yeah,
instant looking at, oh, I got it, or I can need to take another one. It was like, I got it, and you just pray to God you did.
yeah,
You'll find out in the dark
yeah,
room.
yeah. Oh yeah, you'd have to wait, you 10 hours get into the dark room, when I was renting, right? At home, I would go from a concert to my dark room. I would develop the film that night, right? Because I mean, I had a day job.
Right.
So it was like, I had to balance the day job, which paid the rent, and the night job, which was my passion, which when people said, "Oh, well, you can't give up your day job because rock and roll will not pay your rent,"
Right.
I said, "Watch me,
Mhm.
watch me. I'll make it. I'll do it. I don't care what I have to do it, but I will do it." Right. And that person today, even every time I see him, he just shakes his head and, he says, "I knew you could do it, Dee. I knew you could." But I never started this career. Um, it started as a hobby. It
Mhm.
started as something that I wanted to do for myself, right? And to keep that memory. And then when people started seeing my memories,
Mm.
it just evolved. And I thought, this is what I want to do, but how can I do it? Well, I'm still going to have to work, but okay, well, I'll make it work. So it's just
I
trial and
mean, what is the
tribulation.
process in those days? Did you just go to see the show and take the photographs, or did you have to get permission to be the photographer
Well,
there?
tickets were only $5.
Right. Wow. Probably 500 or 5,000 now. Yes.
Yeah. And what happened was, I went to a Pink Floyd concert with my brother, and he was up in the nosebleed section. And so a friend of mine lent me his 500 millimeter lens and to go on my Canon camera. And it was so heavy I couldn't, I couldn't do my, I said to my brother, hold it up, right? And I couldn't focus. I couldn't do anything. It was just out of my realm. So
Mhm.
I took it off and I put on my regular lens and I made my way down to the floor because at that time it was like concert seating. So there was no
Mm.
chairs or anything. I sort of made my way to the front, excuse me, right? I could duck in and, right. And I got as close as I could. And then because I was doing this for my brother.
Right.
Because he wanted pictures. It was his thing. So, and I, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no experience. I just let it happen.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just let it happen.
I've always found, I interviewed Kimberly Butler, another photographer, of the stars, not rock and roll, but other people. And, for her, it was that journey that evolved. I had a passion for it and I developed the knack for it. And then, every job that she talked herself into, it was the confidence of believing of why she was doing it and what she was portraying. So when you've got that I love what I'm doing. I'm doing it for me and to share that passion out with everyone else. It changes the whole vibe around you, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You know, that Pink Floyd concert led to my first exhibition in a record store, which led to a fellow from a record company calling me and saying, "We need a photographer. We have a gold album presentation." And then me pursuing that and um, just taking advantage of the fact that these pictures turned out right.
Hmm.
And I just went on from there. It was, uh, I mean, I've had numerous exhibitions, right, at Presentation House over in North Vancouver and uh, Robson Square. I
Hmm.
mean, right. I've done shows right across Canada, setting up in shopping malls. Debbie Gibson did it.
Right,
So I
exactly.
did it too,
Right,
right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
My
The-
son was my driver, and I mean, it's just
Keep it in the family.
everything just flows. It's supposed to go in it's like it went in a natural pattern.
Yeah,
And without me even realizing, that I was doing history.
you're
I
right.
was
Yeah, you didn't set out to do it. You're kind of
no,
doing it for your own catalog and your own passion,
no.
and then it became that catalog. My father was particularly fond of Canon cameras. That was his choice.
I
It's
was too, until somebody who knew better than me said, "Oh no, Dee, if you're going to be taking pictures of any theater, which I wanted to do as well, you can't have a single lens reflex. You have to go out and get a Leica, right? Because when you take the picture, it doesn't make any noise, so you have to have a
oh,
camera with no noise,
right,
right?
no click.
No click, no click." So I went into my camera store and I had this Canon, and I said, "So, how much are these Leicas?" And I said I wanted to do theater work or whatever, and he told me, he said, "I'll take your Canon and we'll do an even trade." Well, I thought that was pretty good because their Leica was used, of course, and mine was too. Um, but I did one show with it and went back to the camera shop
Get my Canon back.
and said, "I do not like the Leica. I want my Canon back." And he said, "Sorry." He said, "I sold it 10 minutes after you were gone out
Right.
of the
Uh,
store." So he turned me on to Nikon.
mhm.
So, and basically, I've used Nikon um,
Ever
my
since.
all my whole career.
Right.
I just upgraded and upgraded and
Hmm.
upgraded.
When
I,
you know something, it's like you trust it, don't you?
yeah, well, and all the lenses were interchangeable, and I didn't
Mhm.
have to, and I knew every sort of camera was the same, just a little bit better and a little bit better.
Well, it's
So,
it's the familiar, it's that instrument that is it is the instrument that is going to be the expression of what you capture. But when you're at one with the instrument, you're not fighting it and it doesn't feel wrong in the hand, it's just part of you, an extension of your limb. Then it allows you to actually capture the work that you're doing
yeah,
because you're not worrying about the instrument. You're not focusing on that. It's just there for you. You know how to use it and you can concentrate on what you want to get done.
yeah. I remember an incident at the Coliseum in Vancouver where there was another lady photographer and myself, and then all the gentlemen photographers, and they always stayed to one side, right? Because, we weren't a viable thing, right? And I heard one of the photographers say, "Well, she can't be any good. Look at her equipment."
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Well,
uh,
there's such a statement in
oh
there.
God, it was so
You
hard
need all
not
that
to,
equipment, do you?
yeah. But, she succeeded where he didn't. And that's all I can say. At the
Exactly.
very end of it, right, years later, she was a success and he wasn't.
Right.
He
Right.
was
And
operating a 1 hour photo booth in some shopping mall and
right.
whatever.
Yeah. And there's a wonderful guitarist that I interviewed called Justin Johnson, American Blues, and the reason I jumped at interviewing him is that he was playing a guitar out of a spade, and
Well,
And people would make instruments for him, oil cans, car parts, anything. As long as it got strings on it, he could play it. And, this Americana blues, really neat,
Uh,
neat strings.
uh,
And it's like every single time, doesn't matter what you put in his hand, he is the music. He transforms the music, right?
wow.
And I think again that is when your art is so profound, when the eye is there, when you know what to capture, when you're so utterly in tuned,
Uh,
it really doesn't matter about the instrument so much, does it? It's
no, really. Yeah, yeah, I've taken many pictures of one artist called the Shovel Playing Man.
hmm
And he has all his guitars are made out of shovels.
yeah,
So, and he's great. He's like a country blues, just
right.
passed away now, I think. But yeah, the shovel playing man, and he was a thrill to watch because you never knew what was going to come out of the sound that the
Yes.
shovel made, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, I know. And
yeah,
it's just, but you see, that's the mark of a true artist who can take whatever instrument and find a way to make music out of it, like you have done with photography. You've taken the instrument, which is the camera, but the the language of you has come through the camera to capture the
mm,
essence. So it's you and that instrument. It's
mm,
you are at one, you
mm,
are the performance in the sense because you're
mm,
capturing the performance,
right.
the artist, right?
Yeah,
So if you don't have that artistic feeling, as you said, you had to feel the music had to hit you, the music had to bring something out in you, that connection, right?
yes,
And then
definitely. Yeah,
and then the camera just knew when to click because it was an extension of the way you felt. But
exactly.
if you weren't the artist within yourself, you wouldn't recognize those moments of when to click.
Right. Well, hey, you said it very well. That's the truth, right?
hmm
It's like your camera becomes an extension of your body. It's
Mm,
I've seen photographers out there that have motor drives and they just click, 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 click,
yeah,
and then they hand that one back to their assistant and get a new one, and that's not the way that you take pictures, especially not concert photography.
right. No,
You have to
because I
wait
mean,
for the artist to do something,
yes,
right? And to do something, you have to feel,
yeah.
what he's feeling, right?
Yeah.
Or she's feeling. So,
Because that again, it goes back to you capturing the essence of the person. How do you capture the essence of the person is because you're in tuned with that essence. You're
yeah.
feeling that essence. Now, a camera just going click, 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 click will get a picture, but that picture that just has that other film to it, that other bit to it,
Mm,
where you look at that picture. I mean, I'm 68, so growing up, Beatles and Rolling Stones and everything from the 60s going into the 70s, and we
the
used to,
best time, the
oh
best
God,
time.
best time for music,
Oh,
best time. And just that having a picture on the wall or seeing the cover of an album, with that right photography. Do you remember Santana with the one with is it the lion? All that picture on
oh,
there,
oh,
right?
yes, I remember that. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
album. And but
yeah.
we treasured the album. So, because like we soaked up the picture of the album in anticipation of what was coming. Right. And so we miss that with the digital today because we just
Yeah.
download the song. But there was something about an album cover that, kind of it was like you go into your favorite restaurant and, oh, what am I going to choose on the menu tonight? And
Yeah.
that I think a lot of that artistry is being lost because we don't have those albums or we don't have those pictures in the magazines like we used to have, where we could see the artists and just like I can't wait to hear the next album, or I can't wait to hear this
Mm.
particular song from the album, or having a photograph. I mean, I imagine for so many people going to the concerts, you capturing that moment that they all felt and keeping that moment alive for them every time they see that photograph.
Well, I sell limited edition photographs of my favorite. Well, actually, any artist that they want, right?
Mm,
So, but they're limited edition of 25 only.
mm.
And the sizes start at 11 by 14. And I even offer framing.
You go the full extent.
Oh yeah, really? Well, might as well, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Give them the true
um,
experience.
but I've noticed um, an increase in people phoning me up and going, oh, because I do my post on Facebook every Friday
Yes.
of
Yes.
birthdays. And I get people who get in touch with me saying, oh, I'd love a copy of that picture. I was at that concert in
Yeah.
1979. I was at that concert. It was my first concert. How do I get a photo? How do I? So, and that's been happening more and more lately of just people who say, right, all these people have money now.
Yeah. Most of them. Yes.
Right? Yeah, and you know, they have music rooms, or even some people have studios or
Mm,
whatever. I mean, I've equipped studios. I've done restaurants.
mhm.
My post today on Facebook is a Ringo Starr.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that was actually a huge, huge photograph blown up at the, you know, really big print company, right? It was done in sections because it went in the landing of a restaurant in Kelowna, which had a whole bunch other of my, it was my mini gallery because
Uh-huh.
they had my pictures everywhere. But all the front were all glass. So when people drove by, they could see this huge, you know, photo of Ringo Starr. And it just, you
And
know,
everybody knows Ringo. It doesn't matter what
oh
the age
yeah,
is. Everybody
oh
knows
yeah,
Ringo,
oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Have there been any favorites that they spoke to you in such a way that you had to go back every time, or follow them wherever they are to get another photograph?
Rod Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I worked in depth with Long John Baldry
Mm-hmm.
years, years, uh, until his passing. Um, um, it's like no, I don't.
Not
Rod
any one
Stewart,
particular?
no. Rod Stewart is. I mean, I've taken pictures of Rod Stewart so many times that, you know, local bands.
Mm-hmm.
Right, local bands that you know I really like, you know, that are old from, you know, my generation or whatever, you know, the Lover Boys who are still on tour, or
Mm-hmm.
the, you know, the Troopers who, you know, Ray and Smitty have retired now, but the band is still on tour as Troopers. So, you know, I like to follow, you know, and give support to those bands.
And you worked with Red Butler for a while? You knew him? Was it Red Butler? Well, I'm getting his name wrong. Let me put my glasses on. It's in your content here somewhere, but he used to always have those wonderful shows. I can't remember his name now. Red something.
Red Robinson?
Yeah,
No, no.
is that it?
Yeah,
Red.
yeah, Red Robinson. Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I did all his shows. I did all the pictures for all his books,
Hmm.
right? Um, uh, s- um, when I was 13, I fell in love with this disc jockey called Red Robinson, and I was quite upset when he married this woman called Carol, never knowing that years later that you know, they would become my best friends.
Mm.
Just, you know, it's like how things happen. Right. So, yeah, all Red's books. It's like, well, do you have a picture of this? Do you have a picture of that? And I say, yes. Well, just send them all to me. We'll figure it out. Right. So,
I
yeah.
mean, because he did a lot, for the industry, didn't he, for
Oh,
quite a long time.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, definitely kind of our Dick Clark in many ways. So, and
exactly.
mhm.
Exactly.
And
But
eh, so there's no any one person or any one moment, but is there ever a photograph that you actually have up in your house that every time you look at it, you smile or go down a memory?
Tina Turner,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
I shot Tina. Well, I did her book tour in Vancouver, all the interviews. Excuse me. And then one, two, three, like four, five, yeah, five concerts, right?
Mm.
Right. Vancouver, Toronto.
At what age group was she at this point?
She was in her 40s.
Mm-hmm. So post Ike?
Yeah. After oh yeah, but I started with her with Ike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I did show two shoots of her with Ike. Excuse me.
Okay.
And then she was on her own.
Hmm.
And I remember the first time seeing her, it was just like, wow, she could,
Transforming, right?
yeah, yeah.
Transformation. Yeah. I mean, she was always a great artist, but there's something about when she went out on her own,
But
that sense of
she was a
liberation.
genuine, yeah, she was a genuine person,
Mm,
right? You know, there was nothing fake or phony about her. You knew where you stood with her.
hmm
Um, remember she put out the book I, Tina, and she was doing the book tour here in Vancouver. So she asked her manager, that woman in Vancouver, that woman photographer that I had to shush at the album media thing, you know, the one with the great legs. I
She
want
would know.
her. I want her to do. I want her to be the photographer in Vancouver. So he phoned up the record company, and he said, "Well, Tina has a very weird request. She wants the female photographer with the great legs." And they said, "Oh no, that's Dee."
So forget about known for your photography, known for your legs. But Tina had great legs, so you can see the
Yeah.
association
So
there.
when she came into the hotel room and I did all the pictures and whatever, I was wearing a short skirt,
Mhm.
right? And she was wearing pants. And I asked her, I said, you know, is it okay if if I have a picture taken with you? She goes, "Oh my dear, certainly it's just wonderful to see you again." And you know, um, and I said, you know, we're supposed to wear pants because we have to show off our legs. And she said, "You've got better legs than me." No, no, I don't. No, I don't.
So from
But
there on, always a short skirt, right?
yeah, she was really, yeah,
And of
it
course, I
was,
didn't know that she became a Buddhist or that
yeah, I
chose
think she
the
was a
Buddhist
Buddhist.
religious,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and vegan,
Years, and-
etc. Yeah,
yeah, years and years and years
mm,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it,
It's strange to think of that sort of lifestyle.
yes,
Uh, but I think she was sort of coming off the stage. You know, she wasn't doing, you know, 50 dates a year or whatever. I
yeah,
think,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So I think it was like later on that she discovered it, but she was still quite young, right?
Yeah.
And it just sounds fast that you can get up on stage and just let go and yet have the Buddhism and the everything when
Well,
you get
probably
off the
that's the reason why
stage.
she could do it so well on the stage, is because when she came off, she knew how to find her center. She
Uh,
knew how to find her own inner temple and
uh,
find that peace and that calmness, so that when she did get on the stage, she had that energy to generate up there and
yeah,
not come off and feel depleted. There was something to fortify her. So I
yeah,
understand why she went that way, because a lot of people, you can't keep up that same adrenaline on and off
yeah,
stage over such a huge span of a career without, paying for it. Not
yeah.
everybody's Mick Jagger.
I remember her coming off stage at one time and she goes, "Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? That was really good. That was good. That was good." And it was just like, oh man, of course it was good. You know, it was almost like she was surprised, right? But it was like she was so excited. So it's like,
My mother was a stage actress, and she said the performance is different every night according to the audience, and the audience's energy and what they bring to the table. The audience doesn't quite understand the energy in which they receive the performance is what's feeding the performer. Right. And if the
right,
energy is held back or, not quite there, then what is the, performer generating from? And so when you have an audience that's really with you, I mean, that is what she was saying. She's always good. But when you've got an audience that's really with you, then it's great.
well, Vancouver used to be known for its lack of audience participation. Yeah. It was
Why?
like,
Where would
oh, I
are we
have no idea.
conservative?
Like I remember uh I think it was Summer Sunday 78 or 79 or whatever. And there was bands playing, and the crowd would just stand there like this. And
What?
somebody came on stage. Yeah, they just stood there. I don't want to name any names because I don't want to embarrass them. Um, but the MC came out and said, you know, you could give a little bit of appreciation here, like, hello, some applause, some, come on, you know, we're getting a really bad reputation, right?
Mm.
And so he sort of got the crowd going, and then one of the other MCs came out and, they started the crowd going. But yeah, Vancouver had a reputation of real tough crowds.
Were they
You
tough
got a
because
police
you've got
on.
to impress me, or they were just not
Yeah,
people that could,
yeah,
express themselves?
yeah. No, no. The crowds were like, okay, I paid my 7.50. And it impressed me. And you know what? If I was shelling out the amount of money that what they want now for shows, I would I would really want to be impressed.
Yeah,
If I shelled out $100, well, you can't even get a ticket for
no.
$100, I don't think, right? But that's why I don't go to concerts anymore, right? It's
They
like,
should be paying
unless
you to go to
I'm,
the concerts, my
yeah,
dear. They should
exactly.
be.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, they do, but it's like, uh, okay, the concert photographer is basically, over the years, has not been a viable option for anybody, right? Okay, the management, they're not going to buy photographs, right? They have their own clique of photographs. All the photographs are taken pre-show, dress rehearsals. They pick the best ones. All the programs are done, right? As they go on tour, all the T-shirts are done. Everything is done. So
So,
when they actually roll into Vancouver,
mhm.
they don't, they give the newspapers and the magazines the courtesy of, yes, of going to shoot the show. But when was the last time you saw a picture published in a daily newspaper or even a
Yeah.
weekly paper of a performance, of note? I mean, Elton John comes to town. Is there a picture of him anywhere performing on the stage?
Not professionally. No, what we get that is
Oh,
people posting on social media,
yeah, well,
everybody's different point of view on it, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And again, they're not capturing the essence, they're capturing the staged, right? It is again the essence when you are at one with the musician, when they're speaking to you, you're feeling it, and the finger clicks. That is a different photograph to the one is that they're just playing and the camera is clicking, for the program.
I remember going to a concert. I had already shot. It was Pink, I think, and I'd shot, and I went back. I had a seat, and my husband and I had a seat, right, and so I went and I sat down, and there was a girl sitting in front of us, and she had like a notebook, and she was recording the whole thing, and she was holding it like that the whole time. And I said to my husband, has she been doing that the whole? He goes, yeah, the whole time. She sat like that for the whole concert. When people stood up, she stood up. When people sat down, she sat down. She just didn't let go. It was like her hands were glued to that. And I said, what's the sense?
Yes.
You know,
You're not
I hope she
engaging.
got a good video. I don't know. And
Yeah,
there's
no,
nothing, there's nothing that the promoters or the managers can do about it because everybody has a cell phone, right? And they hold up their cell phones, and they can't police that.
no.
So the pictures are out there.
Yeah.
So the artist better not do anything bad on stage.
Oh God, yes. There is that as well, right? Whereas you took a photograph in the past, they could say, not that one. But
Okay,
nowadays,
yeah.
absolutely everything is captured, right? And
Oh,
what makes the news is always those moments, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, oh, yeah,
let's
yeah.
forget anybody's human. I mean, there's something going on right now. I saw a bit on the news where things have been thrown at performers, cell
Oh,
phones,
yeah.
other things, and it's what is this all about? If you don't like the artist, don't go, but don't show such disrespect. I mean, what was it? One phone hit one of the artists in the eye, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is irresponsible. I mean, I remember Tom Jones used to get knickers thrown on on stage for him. That's a little different. But yeah, no, it's knickers, by the way, are panties, folks, if you don't know. Um, but you know,
Thank you.
it's I don't know. Has the audience become jaded? Have we become oversaturated? You know, is there a lack of appreciation, or is there a different attitude that people are going to the concert today?
Um, um, I don't know. I don't know, Sarah. I really don't know.
I know
Um,
it's like, you know, kind of I'm glad I was in my era. At that time, growing up, I was in South Africa, so we'd have a lot of people coming over to South Africa to perform.
uh-huh.
And it was great to see the performers there because we were hungry for it, to see professional performers. That I remember when Barry White came over,
Oh,
and you had white women throwing themselves at him all the time. And of course, apartheid was still very strong, so there was a huge
yeah,
controversy over that. And we had a number of other artists out there, and it was great, you know, because it was a treat to have, and you really valued and respected the people that came over and performed for you.
yeah.
Um, but I've got a thing about crowds now. I don't like being amongst crowds. So the last big one I went to was Santana many years ago, and I went with my kids, and we up was standing up the whole time dancing, the whole time dancing, just absolutely loving the music. Because in South Africa, I was the second person to bring about mobile discotheque. My brother and his friend bought about the first mobile discotheque, and then my boyfriend and I bought about the second. And of course,
Oh,
Santana was really big, and this is early 70s.
yeah,
So, you know, playing at parties, the only thing is, you know, packing everything away. The speakers are like coffins, and you had crates of albums and the turntable that was heavy. But it was fun doing the party and then playing the music and kind of, you know, we're the
yeah,
conductors, we're setting the mood, which is really, really great. So music
uh-huh,
has always been really big for me in um, in the way it makes you feel. But I've got more now to I prefer the more intimate settings of music rather than the big crowd, because I feel that it's kind of lost something. You know, it's just too
yes,
crowded and like kind of lost that nuance that used to be there when you saw the performers. You know, but I'm going back a ways. It's been a while since I've seen a live performance, but my daughter is one to go all the time because she backs up new groups and everything all the time. And she just
groups and
absolutely loves. She's in Vancouver. And when we do lunch, you're going to meet her. She's going to come along. And she loves performing, you know, performers.
yeah,
She's a mixologist, so she designs drinks for them. But I think the thing is, a lot of people I feel today aren't in touch with their passion. They're so busy living this exterior life of should be, gotta be, this and that they don't know how to follow that gut, that inner sense, that inner passion of that drive of, I really love doing this and following it, even if it is rocky, even if it's hard at times, even if you have to have those other jobs, you know, that, but
yeah,
you
that's,
follow the passion. Um, and I think a lot of people are missing out because of that, because there's something about when you find what it is you're meant to do, when you love it so much that it really means something to you, then whatever you're doing is going to mean something to someone else because it's
right,
coming through
right,
you.
yeah, 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 and you know, my grandchildren are older. My grandson is like 30 and he went to BCIT. He took radio broadcasting, right? And he's just gone from, you know, he he was working for a radio station in Prince George and then he moved and we really missed him and then he moved back to, you know, and he's gone through about 4 or 5 different job changes.
Yes,
He just can't find the, you know,
that
the
one, that
that
one.
one,
Yeah,
a niche, right?
yes.
You know, and my granddaughter too, so she's pretty good. I think she's found what she wants to do, right? Um, uh, so she's good. But you know, I tell my grandson, hey, I was 28
Mhm.
when I started taking rock and roll pictures. I'm
Right.
28, dude, you're only 30, you know, who knows? You might fall into something and You just, you don't know what say, okay, my passion is this, but you don't do that. It's like, oh, wow, I really like to do this.
Yes.
This must be,
Yes, it's
this
not an
must be my,
external passion, isn't it? It's something that
yeah,
you always say if you do it for free,
yeah,
then you know that you're on the right track. When it's something you just gotta do, you gotta
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Now, I mean, were you drawn to any other photography, or was it always the rock and rollers? Was it always the musicians? I'm
Well, I had to learn how to do other photography just to survive.
right.
So I had to, first of all, I had to teach myself darkroom work.
Hmm.
I had to be able to produce my own product. I had to learn how to shoot weddings. I had to learn about lighting. I had to learn what goes on at a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah,
Hmm.
right? What is expected of you, right? What I worked for record companies. I work every job. I just put my whole heart into
Hmm.
because I knew that without doing these extra things, I wouldn't be able to go and shoot the stars. And
Yeah,
so, um, people say, do you have any advice for photographers? And I say, well, basically, don't quit your day job, but don't give up,
right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But, you always, it's like falling back on something. Well, I mean, it's been, I don't know, 35 years since I've had nothing to fall back. But yeah, and then going in my books and that, I started in 1986, 87, publishing my first book, and then that led to people seeing the pictures and asking about the story. So then I published my second book,
Hmm.
which had all the stories in it. Then I did a book on Merritt Mountain Music Festival. It's all country artists.
Hmm.
So 17 years of country artists. So
Wow.
I did a book about that. And now, and then I have tote bags and I have scarves. I have scarves. I don't know
Yes,
if you see.
yeah, I love that. You were talking about that in that talk with them where you have the stars imprinted
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
scarves, which I think
yeah,
is fantastic.
yeah. No, they're beautiful and they're exclusive. So, not everybody, they're exclusive.
Right. Not
Yeah.
mass produced,
No,
right.
no, no. And they're made out of 100% recycled water bottles.
I
And
love that. That's
they're
great.
light and airy, and they're good for summer and winter.
Right.
I just
Exactly.
do a little plug, right?
And also they make a statement. When anything that has a story behind it,
Uh,
what's that on your scarf? And that, and then well, this is what Dee does, and she's the photographer of the stars for so long, and this is from this era, and that's from that era, and I think it just makes everything so much more exciting, right? Because I think everything is a story. When you're
right,
taking a photograph, it's a story of the moment. When we write stories, when we have our own life stories, these stories have an impact on other people. And that's
right,
the beauty of storytelling, however the medium is, because it's how we relate to it, how it inspires us, how it invites us to look at our own story and our own contribution. And I think
right,
that
right.
whatever the form of storytelling is that slow down, everyone, be present and pay attention to the story that is in front of you, because there's a reason why it's in front of you. And there's some relatability, but stop being so, chasing the destination that you forget about the journey in life.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm right now. I'm working on when I was getting all my black and white photography ready to go to the National Music Center in Calgary, right? Which is like an honor to be like, couldn't believe it. When I was going through my storage locker, I came across a storage bin. My husband said, "Well, what's in here?" And I went, "Oh, that's slides." And he went, "Slides?" And I went, "Yeah, when I could afford it,
Hmm.
I would take a roll of color slide film to a concert, especially, the Rolling Stones or Tom Petty or The Who or Tina Turner or whatever. And I would get the slide film back and then I would edit it and then I would put the good ones, in this storage bin. And the storage bin kept getting bigger and bigger. And, it's a fair size. It's like that big. He opened it up and he went, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And I think he put a few swear words in there too. He said, right. Rolling Stones, Tom Petty, Tina Turner, The Who,
Hmm.
right? Yes. All the local, he said, there's your next book. And I
Right.
went, there's my next book.
Exactly.
I haven't decided, and now I'm going through slides. So it's like, if I'm going cross-eyed, right? Or I come into my office and I'm like, because I'm, going through the slides now and picking and choosing. So it's a massive job and I don't care. It took me years to put the stories together. I don't know if I'm going to have any stories in it or not, but we'll see. See if I can remember.
Right. Yeah. If you can kind of remember the moment that was there. Um,
Yeah.
do you know Darcy Murdoch, known as Bobby Bucharus?
No.
He's a performer in Vancouver, a crooner, sings all the popular old,
Oh,
old songs, and he actually had have two sets of new lungs. He wasn't a smoker, but he ended up with a disease, and he would get out there with kind of his oxygen mask, sing and put the oxygen mask on while he was waiting,
oh my
and he sings
God.
a lot at the Sylvia Hotel. And
Oh, okay.
that's a big one for him there.
Darcy? Just
Yeah,
Darcy?
he goes as Darcy. Hang on a second, let me just get back to that because he has two names. He goes by Bobby Backhouse, and his name is Darcy Murdoch, known as
Oh,
Bobby Backhouse.
okay.
But a really neat guy, and but there again is that passion and conviction. He could have given up when he got the lung disease, but no, it's like, give
Oh
me
my
something
God.
so I can keep on singing, right? And I
What
think
a
that's
story.
and I think that I love it when people, it doesn't matter what obstacle is in my way. This is my conviction and passion. I have to do this, and I just have to find in whichever way I can do it, right? Whatever the
Yeah.
obstacle is, I'm going to climb it, because the drive in you is too much. And so now I imagine going through all of these slides at the moment, kind of deciding what's going to be in the book, which probably be difficult to
Oh,
decide which ones, but the memories that it's resparking inside of you. Now, do those memories take you beyond the actual clicking of the photograph? Does it take you back to a time in your life when this happened or that
oh
happened?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Oh, I remember that concert. That's the concert where my car broke down after, and I couldn't get. Oh, yeah, right. You know.
Yes, yes. Isn't it funny how that happens? Is that we look at something and it triggers a stupid memory in many ways. I mean,
Well, music,
yeah,
music,
yeah.
music. It's like you hear one note of Pink Floyd takes me right back to the first concert where it all started.
Mm,
One note, because that note is Pink Floyd.
yes.
And in fact, my brother was such a fan. The first album that I had, before, well, I was just a mother, um,
Only a mother.
only a mother, was Frank Sinatra.
Hmm.
I Did It My Way is the name,
Right,
right? And my second album was Pink Floyd, something about an atomic cow.
right. Well, a
So
little bit
it's
different.
like, oh, but I was influenced by my friends around me, music wise, right?
Mm.
And that was an interesting journey too. Like, I hated country. I thought it was just ridiculous.
No,
I'd
I'm
had to
not huge
listen
on
to it.
country, but there's certain songs, there's
Oh,
certain performers,
well,
but not.
the country music now, I've gotten used to it. I expect a story,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And you know, uh, I expect comedy sometimes,
yeah.
right, in the country. So I'm in shooting for Merritt Mountain Music Festival for 17 years.
Hmm.
It's like when we go out there, it was the first three songs and that was it. And you go, okay, you go back to the trailer and edit your pictures. Well, have a beer. Because your work was over. Because I
Right,
wasn't interested in any of these country artists.
right,
But over the years, it was like, oh, well, that's not bad.
right.
No, she's pretty good. Oh, she can, yeah. It's like getting turned on to all these
Yes.
female
New genre.
country artists, right? Some of them from my backyard, right? Um, uh, it was a really great experience for me because I'd done the blues and I hadn't done that much jazz. um, Sort of a bluesy jazz. The
I love that.
jazz, I couldn't understand the jazz because there was too many instruments and they were all playing a different song, and I couldn't concentrate. I
Right.
couldn't concentrate
Hmm.
on jazz, but blues and rock and roll, and I wasn't into any folk. I didn't really like the folk. It was just too lame for me.
Yeah, Dave Brubeck, his son is married to my cousin.
Oh,
So I had him, Darius Brubeck, and he followed in his footsteps
uh,
of his father as a jazz musician. So I obviously interviewed
I've
him.
heard of him. I've heard of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was really, really interesting the impact that his father had in Poland. Apparently, he played in Poland, and it became such an inspiration that it was part of kind of a revolution for them, and they actually have an entire thing, monument to him, so to speak. But
Wow.
what he did, his son did, because they moved to South Africa, and he started in the universities a jazz program, and it was not restricted to people who had, full education to get in there, and it was open to black and white before, the whole apartheid thing was stopped,
Oh,
and now it's still going today. That he started off there, opening up that music to other people that didn't have the opportunity before. So
wow.
he's still playing. He's still out there playing away, and my cousin is his manager and has been now for about 50 years, whatever. So, but I didn't used to like jazz until kind of it got more to me understanding jazz, and especially when it's bluesy jazz.
Yeah, it's the
I,
it's the blues jazz that I like. Like I said, you got six musicians on stage and they're all playing a different song, and it's just hard. You can't concentrate on. I
yeah,
can't, I
it's
can't
hard to
focus.
get into a groove, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
But
when it
whereas the
becomes
jazz, the
bluesy,
blues,
yes,
like, oh my God, BB King. Oh,
yeah. I
oh,
call it the elongation of
yeah.
music, when your whole body feels like it wants to stretch out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a
You
guy,
get up and, yeah. Woo.
yeah, I've interviewed quite a number of those musicians, and one was called the ballad drummer, and it is that kind of elongation, jazzy type thing, or the spatting, and all of that type of thing. It's great. I love it. Music's big to me. And I was the era in the 70s in South Africa where we would have parties that were outside because the weather was good, and somebody would have a turntable if it wasn't us doing DJing. And so Earth, Wind and Fire, Blood, Sweat and
Oh,
Tears, I love.
oh,
Bread, at
oh.
that time. And of course, all of the others, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Doors, and all of that type of thing. But it was music that everybody felt, and brought out a feeling in everybody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
really music that you connected to, or
Even
it,
today, those groups.
yes,
Even today,
yes, yes,
I heard Earth, Wind, and Fire on a radio station on my way back from the gym, and it was just like, whoa! And I was just like,
yeah, transformed.
I, I was back.
Yes,
I was back in the theater watching them. It was just like I got goosebumps. It was,
yeah. Yeah, my big thing at the present moment, I love them so much, and I go into phases of them, is the blood, sweat, and tears. God
uh,
bless the child,
yeah,
and when I die, and all of that. And
yeah, yeah,
and it's because it's the full instrumentation in there.
yeah,
The way they move the instruments, and I think in a lot of ways today, one of the things I find disappointing today is that you do go to a concert and the person doesn't sound like their record, because when they're being recorded, there's so much adjustment going on,
yeah.
that you're actually losing their real voice. And I think that is a disservice to everyone, to them and
Right.
to everyone else. And that it's only through their records, or, the downloads, that you kind of hear the voice. And I think, it's one of the reasons why I love watching the shows like The Voice and this and that, because, the true essence of them is being brought out. And it
Yeah.
isn't just about how perfect the voice is, it's about the emotion, the crack, the way you make people feel. And I think that's what
Right.
something maybe forgotten a little bit
Without the visual.
without the visual.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
and that isn't that what music is about? Is how does it make you feel? You know, like you're driving, down the road on the highway and you've got that music playing and it just, whoa, it just makes you feel something. And I think that's the importance of music because it's actually an incredible healer, but it's also the way it makes you feel. And when somebody can capture that moment, that picture at that particular moment of chord, where everybody's feeling that, everybody's in tune with that. Every time you look at that picture, you're taken back to that moment of really illumination, of exaltation, just feelings
Well, I
that you
wa-
can't always get on your own.
when I walk into my office, I get taken back by the Sting and the
Mm,
Robert Plant and the Tina Turner and the Eric Clapton
mm,
and Rod Stewart and
yes,
the, it's like I don't have the only place that I have photographs, rock and roll photographs, is in my office, right? Um, uh, I used to live in a larger home, heritage house, and I had a long hallway. So I had pictures all the way down the hallway. So when people came in, wow, wow,
yeah,
wow,
yeah, yeah,
wow. But here, no, it's like, now my favorite thing is trees in my house.
yes.
I have pictures of trees. I started with trees, actually.
Oh, really? Back to tree.
Well, when I was learning the 35 millimeter camera, I had a Nikon underwater camera.
Hmm.
Had it was like totally manual. So, and then I had my little light meter, and I went to Stanley Park, and so I take my light meter and I put it up against it because I love trees. Put it up against the tree, and it would tell me, and so I stand back and I take a
Yes,
picture of this tree, right? Well, this was a loaner camera, just to see if I could do something
right.
with it, if I had an eye,
Mm.
right? So, but he didn't tell me at the end when he came to the end of the roll of film that you had to push that little button at the bottom and then roll your
Oh
film back
no.
into the canister. Didn't tell me that. So when I opened it up, it was like, I closed it up. By the way, I passed that information on to Roger Daltrey, and he thanked me profusely because he just bought a Canon camera, right?
Right, yes.
Anyway,
No, I
anyhow,
mean those are the trials and tribulations, right? Of the overexposure or camera opening up or something going wrong with the chemicals when you're
oh,
doing it,
oh yeah,
all of those things.
well, fortunately, um, out of that ruined batch of pictures, there was the a photo of a building in Gastown, and it was sort of anyway. I really liked it. So I entered it in the West Vancouver photo contest, the Royal Centre Mall and Park Royal Mall, and I came in second.
There you go. There you
So I was
go.
like, "Hey, that was my first roll of film, and I screwed it up, and I came in second in a photo contest. So how about that?
Yeah, that means you're
How
on the
about
right
that?
path. Yeah, exactly. On the right
Lord,
path. Now, there is something that Julie mentioned in the talk, which is completely off topic, but it's something that actually made me extremely aware, and I want to share it on. Julie was talking about a time when they thought that you were drinking too much because your liver was in danger, and it ended up being not from the drinking, but from the Advil that you were taking every
the
day,
ibuprofen,
the
ibuprofen.
ibuprofen that you were taking that was doing liver damage. And there is actually a warning on the because the writing is so tiny, who reads the thing? At the time, I was taking, ibuprofen in the morning and in the evening, and it's made me completely stop and try and use different type of things for
Yeah,
it because of that.
you have to, take different things,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Because your body gets used to it anyway. Well, I took it for a long time.
right,
A long time. Like every morning, I would automatically take a 650 milligram heavy dose of ibuprofen because I was doing a lot of moving and shaking, and I was very, very active,
right.
right? And lugging camera equipment around
Yeah.
and doing that sort of thing, right? And I did it just as a preventive thing,
Hmm.
right? And
Little did you know.
yeah, little did I know it
Yeah.
was okay. But it wasn't, stopping drinking was like absolutely no problem at all.
Right.
It was just like they said, you have liver damage, right? What have you been doing? How much do you drink? And I said, well, I don't drink. I drank every day,
Hmm.
but I'd have a beer or a glass of wine or whatever, which, Julie for me that I was an alcoholic, but so, you
Different
know,
interpretations, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, but it was just, what do you take? What do you put in your body? What caused this? And when he found out that I was doing the ibuprofen every morning, he goes, "So how long have you been doing this?" And I said, "And I would do it again if I was aching or after a
Right.
shoot or whatever, right?
Exactly.
5, 6 years." He goes, "Oh my gosh." He
Hmm.
goes, "Didn't you read the warning label on the?" I said,
How can anybody read it?
"No,"
It's microscopic in the way that it's written.
but it does, So I mean, anything. And now I've done two tech books on liver disease. I did the Happy Liver Society got in touch with me, and they wanted do, to for me to do a book on hepatitis, right?
Hmm.
So uh, the title of the tech book is called "You Don't Have to Be a Rock Star to Get Liver Disease," right?
Right. Right.
And all these liver diseases, there's over 100 liver
Mm.
diseases, but everybody, when you say, I have liver disease, they automatically think right there, oh, you're an alcoholic,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
There are
know
other things.
alcoholics that have their livers are like robust,
Right.
nothing, my ex-sister-in-law, she had one drink at Christmas time, right? And she had liver disease.
Hmm. Right.
So it's,
Well, it's toxins. It cleans out the toxins. And
it
if the
does
toxins
everything,
aren't being cleaned
everything does.
out, right, then
Yeah,
it's, yeah.
yeah.
So, but isn't it interesting actually from that, how now comes the education to other people about liver disease. And I always find, those little twists and turns that come in life that to then project us on another path, that becomes something of a service to other people. It's kind of quite intriguing the way those type of things happen, isn't it?
Well, in 2010, they gave me 2 years to live.
Really?
That's like 2023. Okay, I'm
Yep.
doing good.
And how's your
I'm
liver?
doing good. My liver's good. My liver's good. When I go for the last time I went for my liver test, well, the first time I got the liver test, I was at like a scale of 1 to 5, you're dead. I was at 4, 4.5.
Wow.
And when they put me on a special treatment program, I was a guinea pig for over a year. And at the end of the treatment, I was in the middle of two. So they said, we don't need to see you again, right? Your liver's doing the thing, it's redoing itself, it's
Rejuvenating?
yeah,
Hmm.
rejuvenating, and just change my diet
Yeah.
and didn't drink. And my husband stopped that same day, right? And I know somebody, this is funny. Okay, he was an alcoholic, but he won't even eat beer battered shrimp.
Well, that is for some people, it's going to put them over the edge. And
Yeah,
I think that gets very kind of psychological at that point, and there is a different practice in Europe where it's learning to moderate, where you can have a drink where you're not going to go immediately into the addiction or
yeah,
immediately. And that again, I think we have it in North America, it's an absolute do or don't.
yeah,
And
yeah,
instead of a build of our mindset of being in control of knowing when to stop.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
a different approach.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
And whatever works for you, right? It has to work for you, and your body has to be evident of that it is working for you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Didn't miss it at all. Just, even on holidays now you can get virgin, You can get
Exactly.
virgin drinks, right?
Everything. Exactly. Exactly.
No,
I mean, there are
no,
some people that can't be around other people that drink because they just, but that is a psychological issue that definitely has to be addressed because you can't keep imposing that on other people, right? It's something that you have to deal with yourself. But it's everything is kind of set in the mind anyway, isn't it? And when you know there's something that you love that you could be doing that is better for you, then
yeah.
you pour your energy into that and then you don't miss it. You don't
Well,
miss the other.
what we're advocating now and we're telling everybody is just go and have your liver tested.
Yes.
That's all you need is a blood test. If you're going for a physical, just say, do my liver function test. See how my liver is reacting, whether you drink or not. You can't, you know, like this, it's everything that you put on hair dye,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Skin cream is get absorbed and it goes through the liver.
Yeah.
Everything goes through the liver. So, right, aerosol sprays.
Yes.
I mean, God, it goes in, it goes through the lungs, and it goes through the liver.
And of course
So,
the
but
skin is the biggest organ,
yeah,
right? It absorbs
yeah,
everything,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I
So
mean,
we just tell people, go and have your liver tested. It's all the best to know.
when you
Yeah.
can find a doctor in BC.
Oh,
I've been on the waiting list
oh.
for 5 years.
Oh, I'm lucky. My daughter and I have a great understanding. It's like there's nothing wrong with me. I'll go have my blood work done. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. Fine. I don't think I've actually seen her for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Just have the
Okay.
updates done to make sure everything is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's fine. I phone her. I talk to her when I get my blood pressure pills renewed. And I say, my blood pressure has been normal for like the past year, like below normal, like the best. She goes, no, 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 you're taking a low dosage, just keep taking them. Right? It's like, oh, okay.
There's certain things we know we have to do because they're kind of a part of the maintenance. But,
Yeah.
I think, you were lucky that you found something at 28. So many people, it's 40, 50, 60 or older. For
Grandma
me,
Moses, Grandma Moses didn't paint her first painting until she was 86.
exactly. And I
There you
was
go.
and I was 57 when I started my path on this. So the
Oh,
thing is you never know, right? But everything that you've done beforehand, as I say, everything that I went through beforehand, and I've had quite a diverse career roller coaster in my
uh,
past. It led me to being prepared for doing what I'm doing today. And I think it's like with your grandson. He's got this experience, that experience, this experience, and when the opportunity is right,
uh,
he will be ready because the experience will give him the backing to match the passion of what he wants to do where he wants to do it. So it's what we know when we look at it, go, God, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. If you are true to your passion, if you're true to why you want to do it, your why do you want to do it? How does it make you feel? Right? Whom does it serve? When you've got those answers, it's just keep pouring yourself in that, even if you have to have a day job, keep pouring yourself in that, and it will open up to the opportunity down the road.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, it's like I never thought that I could turn my passion into anything, but as it went along gradually, I just took it as a given. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this, right? And even the bad times were lessons
Yes,
that were
yes,
taught. And
yes.
I learned from the lessons, you never make the same mistake twice.
No.
Well, we
Well,
try not
you
to
do
do
if it's presented in a different light. But the thing is,
it.
because we do, and then we realize, that was just disguised,
Yeah,
differently. But the
yeah,
more and more I think we are confident within our why and our gift and what we're here to do, we're less likely to open up to those mistakes. Or when mistakes or obstacles come our way, we can take it in our stride and deal with it with a much more level head.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
Well,
part of experience of life, isn't it?
yep, definitely, definitely. I'm just looking at the time.
That's fine. How do people get hold of the books, love?
Um, DeeLippingwell.ca is my website.
And for people who are just listening, that is Deepingwell
LIPPINGWELL .ca.
folks, not
Yeah.
.com. And
No,
because,
no, .com won't work. I had a bad web person, and I think we all have to go through that.
oh boy,
So,
yes.
now it's and CA is good because I am Canadian.
Exactly, a proud Canadian. And
Yes,
this is actually something else that kind of people won't realize is that so many rock artists came here to Canada, and you
yes,
managed to get all of these artists here in Canada because a lot of people, especially kind of, the other side of the border, kind of think
uh,
we're back end and nobody comes here. But artists love coming here now, don't they? Like
yeah, oh,
Madonna's going to start
definitely.
her whole tour from Vancouver.
Well, she had a bacterial infection, so
Mm,
she's postponed the Vancouver tour. I guess they're going to make it up at some point.
yeah,
I don't know how many of the other ones. When we were down in Mexico, CNN, it was breaking news.
yeah,
Madonna has bacterial infection. She's in ICU. She's she
yeah,
canceling her whole tour. Well, you can't. No, you don't cancel the whole tour. You She's under doctor's care, so you
yeah.
cancel what you have to until
Right.
she's better, right?
Until she's well
But
enough to do it.
Vancouver was the jump off, and now I don't get to see her. So, and I
Right.
was going to see her.
Yeah,
She should,
I think she will eventually, come here.
yeah,
Because I think, that I think now the reputation of Vancouver participants is that people really get into it. They
yeah.
really, shows sell out very quickly here and people are
Oh,
really, really into
one
it.
day, yeah.
Yes, one day.
Apparently, I was talking to my friend who puts bums in seats at Live Nation. She handles Madonna, and she said that the tour was sold out everywhere. The
Yeah.
first day, the
Yeah,
first day
exactly.
it was sold out.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
So
no,
it's dlippingwell.ca and there's also just lippingwell@gmail.com. They can get hold
yes,
of you there. And you're
yeah,
also on Facebook of d.lippingwell. And you can see, as you said, every Friday you post picture of a star that you've done and you kind of post some old memories there. So it's a great place to go in and kind of capture maybe some memories if you're up in the age like us,
yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe some education, of who are these people? Maybe I should listen to their music, right?
Yeah,
And
well,
because some of that older music for you young fellas out there is it was core based. It was core
yeah,
based. It was core performed. Yes, there was a lot of bubblegum music out there, but there was also that's the reason why we still play them 30, 40 years later,
yeah,
because that music was something that transcends the test of time.
yeah. Even bands like Alice Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It
there's
was,
some good
it,
ones out there.
I heard Alice Cooper's music before I had the visual,
Hmm.
right? And I thought, wow, now this guy's good. And
And then what happened when you saw the
then
visual?
saw the visual, I was like, oh my Lord, oh, jeez. Like, okay. But there was a lot of theatrical at that same time. There was a lot of theatrical groups. Like, do you remember the Tubes?
Yes, yes,
Pee Waybill?
right. Now, they weren't that big in SA when I was there at that time.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, it's like putting a show, a raunchy rock and roll show on stage. It just blew my mind, right? It was just like, whips and teacher. It was just like,
Yeah. Well, look at the
you
Rocky
know,
Horror Show, the movie, and
well,
how
yeah,
big that
we're on
was.
the same line,
Yeah,
same line of,
yeah.
you know,
Did you ever capture David Bowie? Did he ever come?
oh yeah, numerous
Because
times.
I talk about theatrics, he definitely bought it.
Yes, he was a lot shorter than I imagined.
It's always the angle, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw him in Montreal. Montreal. I shot him in Toronto. I shot him in Vancouver numerous times. Um, Yeah, I mean, I've shot the Rolling Stones like what, 8 or 9 times.
Mm,
So, going back to the question you said, is there any band that you follow? Well, no, they come to me.
right, good.
So,
I'm glad they recognize you for that
uh,
because you
uh,
know, you've
yeah,
portrayed them in their own light, right?
yeah,
So mutual respect, right?
yeah.
I mean, let's face it, you know, when you're looking at the people of today that want to do what you've done, how many could have this extensive career? It's a different arena now. It's
Yeah,
a different thing now. I
definitely.
mean, look at what you have been able to achieve and what you've been able to achieve in capturing some of the greats of all time in that time period that it just can't be replicated today.
No,
Even
it
with the
can't.
with the greats of today, they can't because photography has changed,
Yeah.
right?
Even the
And
music, even the music has changed with the
yeah,
rapping and the like I was really surprised. The Weekend, who is Canadian, of
yeah,
course, and
yes.
I was really, really surprised. I mean, when his first song hit the we heard it, it was just like, my God, this is incredible.
Hmm.
Without knowing that he'd already sold 1 million copies of this song on the internet.
Yes.
He was already a multi-million
Yeah.
dollar star, and we just heard from, when finally the record company released the CD. It was just like, I mean, my grandkids are going to concerts that I have no idea what they're talking about. Right? I have no idea.
I know.
I see some of these shows and they're featuring this and this. And well, I watched the CNN July 4th with
Hmm.
Shania Twain, and it was about 3 or 4 artists in where I'm just going, who is this? Why are they always grabbing their crotch? Why do they need half naked dancing girls on stage?
Right.
And I thought, okay, okay, shut your mouth.
Our
Shut your
age is
mouth.
showing.
Shut your mouth. Right. Like, but anyway, it's like, fortunately I could fast forward if I didn't like.
Exactly. I record everything. Fast forward.
I
Exactly.
don't understand this rapping stuff. I can understand the bubblegum girls because the bubble,
Yeah.
the pop. I
I
can
mean,
understand
there's
that.
some raps that have been very well done and they're kind of like anthems to the time. And then there's some of it where it is either electronic or it's just,
Yeah.
it's itty bitty. They're like, I like music that has a fluidity to it. I like music that can kind of take you up high or take you on a journey.
Yeah.
I don't want angry music, and I don't want music
Yeah.
that is so disconnected that, like, do I jump in now? Do I jump in now? You know, I want music that gets me. Like, I love the group, the Pentatonics, the harmonic group.
uh,
They're
uh-huh.
they're really fantastic. And the way the harmonies are just absolutely
Uh,
brilliant. And so. Yeah, it's funny though, because for me still, and I think this is what things like The Voice or American Idol, but The Voice especially capture is, there's no age group, age bracket on someone, and then you see someone and it's drawing the essence out of them.
uh-huh.
Right. It's that you're already a good singer. That's why you're on the program. But now where can we take you where the
Yes.
connection is even more? And that in a world where we're needing connection, we are needing connection badly. Connection where we really feel that we're connecting to people in the same vibe. We're looking for a vibe tribe all the time. And music can do that for us. Photography can do that for us. A good story can do that for us. But we've got to be willing to participate in that, right? And
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and it's right here. It's
Yep.
right here. All we've got to do is reach out. So if
Yep.
they want your book, all they have to do is reach out on your site, on
Yep.
your any of your books. Is that the only place that you sell them?
Yes. Yes. um, with the dwindling bookstores,
Yes.
it's like we were at Black Bond Books for the longest time. Yeah, they've carried them, and now they're not around anymore.
Oh no, they're not on Broadway
No,
anymore.
no, no, no. And the bookstores that, the music stores, bookstores, or whatever. Um, People are going into music stores to buy albums now, which is good. Right.
Yes.
They're not going in to buy books, although I have had sales in books, but mostly through me, and then I assign them too.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Wonderful. And remember the days we used to go into a record store and you pick up a record and you play it, you'd be in the booth to listen to it. Right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. There was an experience in that, wasn't there? There was an
Mhm.
experience in it. But the other benefits of having music that is online or on your phone or anything else that is accessible, which is great. But you still, why do we go to concerts? We go to concerts to be moved. We go to concerts to connect. We go to concerts to feel something. And that's why,
Even a blast from the past, right?
yes,
Take
yeah,
you back in time to, oh, yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, and you want one that you're going to remember. You're going to remember, and having that piece of photography that captures that moment, that memory. But I think for this generation, the younger generation, is to capture that look and go, okay, this looks interesting. What's their music all about? And take a listen. Don't think we were old fogies, kind of always old. Believe me, back in the day. Right? Well, I was South Africa's first go-go dancer
Oh, were you
before I was a
really?
DJ, right? So,
Oh,
back in the day, we let our hair down and we were free spirits. Where do you
yeah,
think the hippie revolution came from? Right? So, don't judge us by where we are now.
yeah.
But look at our history because we've paved the road for you now.
And how all the fads that we started and we created are now
Yes,
coming back.
exactly. Exactly. And some of them shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They
Oh, Dee, this
shouldn't.
has been wonderful. I can't wait to meet you in person. And folks, please go back and just look at a site, look at the books. What a wonderful gift to give to someone as a memory,
Oh,
to give to someone young, to have a story to open up that music genre for them from the past there. Educate them to keep it going because look at music from the 60s and the 70s is still very, very much relevant today.
oh, yes,
Very
yes,
much relevant. So let's give them the photograph that goes along with it so they can actually identify what it is. So it's dlippingwell.ca. Write to
yes.
her for a book. What a great gift to give to someone. And, what a great gift to give to yourself if you're from that era. Bring back those memories for yourself, but having a piece of history, because you've captured history, right? The
Mm,
musical history of some of the greatest artists we've ever seen and ever heard, right? And you're
yes.
capturing that in a book, and it's absolutely wonderful. When will the next book be coming out?
Oh, well, we're not even gonna go there. I'm about a third of the way through the slide box.
So, it's okay, it
So,
could be a thick book. We're quite happy to have a lot of
yeah.
edges. We want it all. We want it all. Thanks so much, Dee, for being here. It's absolute delight and for sharing, thank you for what you did. Thank you for capturing history and
Well,
bringing
you're
it to
you're
us.
very welcome. You're very welcome. I did it on purpose. No.
You do, that's the thing when you share the passion, when you share that conviction of that passion, and you're doing it because you absolutely loved it, that love is passed on.
Yeah,
So thank you
good.
for honoring them and then for showing us, all those beautiful memories. So until next time, folks, remember whatever you're passionate about, some way or other, ignite that light and let it free because you never know where it's going to go. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.